Oh, hi. Notice anything different? Exactly. It's the new Hellcorder. It's not done yet, but we can see the contours of how it's gonna look like. And it's amazing. But before we do a look around, we need to talk more about the Windchest. I know I said in the last video that there were just a minor wiring left. That was the understatement of the year. So we'll have a closer look at that before we move on to the interesting part. Actually having a look at the new body. Because it is nice. Very nice. Woohoo!
depending on
Woohoo!
what it is. I mean, I really like the...
Welcome back. We're now back in the saddle working on the Hellcorder. And it's been a nice change of pace the last couple of days. Now what you just witnessed is me, well, almost completing the Windchest. But it's now at the point where I can use it as a defining factor for the Hellcorder body. And as you can see, that's an exact science. I'm even using my good eye. FYI, the beanie is not a fashion statement, although I'm pulling it off just as well as the next guy. But after we had some excavating around the foundations of our house, the insulation properties went down. So I'm in the market for an oven. One that doesn't make as much noise as the one I already have, ruining all the recordings. But that's not relevant for this video, is it? So what you see me doing here is drawing up the panels for the Hellcorder body. Now I still have to do a lot of manual drawing prior to doing CAD, since I only have the free version of the Fusion 360. I'm not allowed to make separate parts and then make them together to see that they fit properly. So I just have to double check that manually and make all the parts in one file and then export them individually out for the CNC. It's not optimal, but the buy-in price even for the lowest tier of Fusion 360 is not an investment I want to do at this point. Now, because many of these panels needs to be routed on both sides, I have to do 3 operations per panel on the CNC. That means that what I thought was gonna be a 1-day stint in the workshop ended up being 4. And I still have some minor details to pull off, but that will be for the next video. Now, I can't even put into words how much having a CNC for this really is a game changer compared to when I made the first iteration of the Hellcorder where everything was done manually. Not only does it take less time, but the accuracy of the fit is non-comparable basically. This time it actually looks like someone has thought about it, which I kinda have. Maybe too much, I don't know. Well, I'm still not 100% Martin and the Marble Machine, although I kinda feel some of his struggles. What you see me doing here is actually marking up for pre-drilling the holes. I didn't do that on the first one, but here I actually want them to match up as much as one can, because it's not symmetrical from one side to the other. But at least on one side I want the screws to be in line as much as they can. And I'm even doing proper woodworking here, using a backing piece so I don't get blowout on the backside. What I have learned over time, at least with this plywood, is for every slot I want to make, I add 0.4 millimeter to to the dimension of the wood that's gonna slot into the slot. That will give you a nice snug fit, but it will come apart again without risking to break off any pieces on the edges. Okay, I might have spoken too early about the nice fit, but I promise this isn't bad. The advantage of using slots as compared to the first one is that it will be really solid by only using screws to keep it together. On the Hellcorder one, I actually did use some glue to make the construction stable. But here I want to be able to take things apart and modify them without having to build a new one from scratch. I also just remember that the slots are called dados. I will probably forget that even throughout this video, so slots, dados, tomato, tomato. From a structural point of view, I'm not that happy with the bottom plate. It's only supported at the ends, which will allow it to sag under its own weight. Now there's no elegant way of fixing that, given the design of the Windchest. So the quick and dirty fix will most likely be gluing on some supportive bracings or a pad / footing underneath where you can never see them. It's not an elegant solution, but it will work. And of course, if I were ever to redesign the entire case and the Windchest, I will take this into account. Fun fact: going from cheap 12mm pine on the original one to 15mm birch plywood here really adds to the weight. Now I didn't like lifting the old one alone, so I'm guessing how this is gonna end up with all the additional equipment as well. Maybe I should just put it on casters just as well from the beginning. Then I should have built it as a flight case actually. With an integrated lid you could just slip over it. It's a bit late to think about that now, although I could make an external case to just slip over it and then latch in place for transportation. But then again, where am I planning to go with it? It's not gonna be a piece of road equipment. Although that would have been cool. I'm still really impressed how well this fits together. He said before he went on to hammer it with his fist to make it fit. But then again, you need a bit of a tight tolerance for everything to not rattle about after you've mounted it together. Now this is a milestone. Now we can actually see how it looks like. And of course it still needs some front panels on the recorders, but we get the general idea of how it's gonna look like. Not too different from the original, but definitely with improvements. So of course there are a lot of elements here we can recognize from the original one. One being the recorders are going to be the centerpiece. But they are upside down this time. That's because the Windchest is below. Now there's going to be like a cover here with some perforated aluminium or something, and hopefully I will get some windows in, because I'm planning on making the whole front face of the Windchest into acrylic so you actually can see the mechanical parts. Now one of the things that I did wrong and that I'm planning on redoing are the top holes that just keeps the recorders in place. Because these are not concentric with the holes of the Windchest. So the recorders are actually tilting a bit forward. It doesn't really matter, but there's an aesthetic element to it which I don't like. So I'll probably redo that. And here you can see the recessed slot that goes all the way around here, and it's going to hold the front cover that's subsequently going to keep the Windchest from falling out in the front. And on this middle plate you can see there is an opening. So what you're seeing here is actually the top of the Windchest with its recessed slots for these, which are the wind restrictors for each and every recorder, allowing me to control the airflow, hopefully. So the holes you're seeing here is actually on top of the solenoids, which will open and close, allowing for the airflow through the recorders. And as you've noticed, I've added a speaker here. One of you commented in one previous video that I should integrate a traditional guitar amplifier as well, and well, I caught to that idea. So that's the thing now. And of course this side compartment is now one major compartment. There will be a plate here as well. I'm still a bit on the fence if I'm gonna have all the switches and connector points here as on the previous one, or if I should move them on a recessed opening on the top for easy access. I think I will make that decision when I see what I can fit in here and not, because here I plan to place all the power supply, the computer, yes, you heard right, a computer, and yeah, we'll see what we can fit in there. We might have to decentralize some components up here on top. But we have enough room. It's actually a bit larger than the last one. It's become beefier, a bit wider, actually not very much taller, but it still has a nice form factor. Of course there's a load of room back here. Even when I'm placing the amplifier module here somewhere, there will still be a lot of room. And the thought behind that is that I want to have a bellows system at some point. A mechanical bellows for producing air instead of the fan I'm using now. And this will give me ample space of building something like that. And that's also why I got the pedal organ, because I wanted to see the mechanics of how I could do that. And of course here are all the connection points which you recognize from the segments from the Windchest. And here still a lot of place, but if I run out of place here I can easily move some of the other components in here. So I think I have an abundance of room. And if not, of course I can put stuff on the back here like on the previous one, because it's still going to be an open solution where you can see everything. I did also plan on putting an acrylic window in here so you can see more of the wiring inside the Windchest, but then of course I need a window on the top of the Windchest as well. I will probably do that, but at this moment I'm just enjoying being finished with the body of it. Although I know I'll have to redo some elements of it, but it's really nice to just step back and have a look at it, because now I can start seeing it coming together. And I think the last stretch is gonna be a quicker one. I've passed the threshold now where I feel it's getting even more fun, because you start to see how it's gonna end out. Of course, it's probably gonna sound like shit like the last time, but it is what it is. So yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the little presentation. Well, hopefully a tiny fraction of how fun I think it was. Can't still believe I'm doing this.